Association. This is Matt, your executive director, and I just have a message kind of on behalf of all of OTA to you all as trail professionals in the state. We are obviously hitting uncertain times with a change in administration in the president's office and across our legislature. And we all work for a federal program, so there's a lot of uncertainty that we are feeling right now and fears. And I just want to acknowledge those fears. Many of you were hopefully on that call yesterday on November 12th, where COE addressed some of the big picture concerns that we may be facing with a Trump administration. That could include the dissolution of the U.S. Department of Education. Maybe there is just some budget manipulation that takes place that could impact funding for SSS programs or just trio budgets across the board. I'm not here to tell you that any of those are unfounded. Those really are real threats that we face going into some uncertain years ahead. But I would rather come with some positive, and maybe folks aren't in a place to necessarily hear positive news because you feel like your job is at risk. What you do for a living is at risk, and it feels unfair. But I guess what I just want you to understand is that our work in Trio has always been at risk, not necessarily from the president's office or at the level we're talking about now, but every single day when you show up to do this work, if you don't do a good enough job, you can lose your job. You can lose the grant. If we don't meet objectives, if we don't file reports correctly, if we don't write a good enough grant, even if you do and you have a reader that dings you points, we are every single year constantly threatened when it comes to the budget of the U.S. government and where TRIO aligns. And if we're going to get cut, get level funded, get raises. We have always been at risk throughout our history. This feels new, it feels more pertinent, it feels bigger than, those smaller things that have always impacted us. But the reality is, every day you've done this job, you have always been at risk. And the only way to combat that, and the whole reason we do this job, like with that in mind, why would anybody want to work in Trio? Well, you work in Trio because you genuinely can change the lives of human beings. Like, the work you do really matters. And the only way that you make an impact is to show up for your students every day. So when you're going to work today, when you're having your student meetings today, the only way to deal with the risk that we face at a national level within your program, within meeting your objectives, is to show up for your next student and do as good a job as you can to help them be successful. Tomorrow when you're going to work, know what you're going to do? You're going to show up for your students and be the best version of yourself for them. That's never going to change. Doesn't matter who's president, if there's a Department of Education, if there's not. We love this work because of the impact on students. That won't change. So bring that same energy, bring that same passion to your job every single day, just like you've done prior to a presidential change, as you'll do tomorrow. And trust that that's all that matters. I can't say anything super promising that you for sure will have a job, that the Department of Education will exist. So a lot of those things are unlikely. I can reassure you of that. But it kind of doesn't matter. We are always at risk. Do your very best to help the students. And that's why you actually love doing this work. I can commit to you, and what OTA can commit to, is that we will always be here to be of service to you all, to your students. We will always keep fighting for underrepresented students. It feels like there's a lot of battles to fight right now, and Trio can sometimes feel small compared to the other things that are at risk. But we will be here to help fight those battles, help coordinate us. On some positive notes, Robin, who is our Director of Trio Development and Support, she is now on the COE Board of Directors. So we have a voice in the most important room in the nation when it comes to any impacts that this administration will have on Trio programs, and you will be of the first to know around any impacts. And we will be advocating and lobbying to do everything we can to fight for you all and your students. In addition to that, we live in a state where most of our representatives are very supportive of TRIO programs. So when you hear these big calls to action, They are important. We want to highlight the amazing work you do, your amazing students, but just know that it sometimes can feel maybe a little scary. Like, how am I supposed to change the perception of TRIO across an entire government? All you can really do is impact the perception of our senators, who are both wildly supportive of us, and then your federally elected official. So the stakes are much smaller than it maybe seems. And as a collective, if we all make small impacts, that's how we keep TRIO around, keep TRIO being funded. So keep at it. That's really my message. We've always been at risk. That maybe isn't a fun place to show up to work every day, but what you do really matters and impacts lives. And that's what motivates us to do this work. And that won't change. We'll do that to the very last day when they have to rip the funding right out of our fingers. We are going to keep showing up for our students. So just keep doing that until the very last day that you either retire or the programs are taken out from underneath us. But don't let it impact the time and effort that you invest in those students whose lives were changing. So with that, we will keep you updated on any real news, any big impacts that will obviously trickle down to you at the program level. But we are here every day, staying in the know, fighting on your behalf. And we all know that TRIO works. And the only way it works is for you to keep doing what it is you do. So I implore you, don't give up. Keep fighting, if for nothing else than those students that you work with every day. So thank you for 5 minutes of your day today, and hopefully you feel a little more like getting up and going to work tomorrow as a result.